Hebrews 13:2 says, do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers. Romans 12:13 says, contributing to the needs of the saints, practicing hospitality. 1 Peter 4:9 says, be hospitable to one another without complaint. So the emphasis in the New Testament is to show hospitality. When Jesus sent the disciples out 2 by 2, he said, now you don't need to take any extra stuff along with you. Why would that be?
People in the towns would take them in and take care of them.
That's exactly right. And he said, if they don't take care of you, shake the dust off your feet and just go to somebody else's place. In other words, hospitality was expected among those who follow the Lord Jesus Christ. I think the same thing is true today. One of my happy experiences as a child was growing up in a preacher's home. And this was back, I don't think our town had any hotels or motels at all. This is just a little town in Nebraska. And we had a lot of different missionaries in our home. And as a little boy, I'd just sit there and listen to my father and mother talk with the missionary. Sometimes the missionary and his wife. They'd talk about their experiences on the mission field. And I just grew to really appreciate missionaries by hearing all the exciting stories they had to tell. And I feel that though we provided food and shelter and night's lodging for them, they really gave us a lot more than we gave them. And we were spiritually blessed, and we were encouraged. And I contribute the hospitality of the home I grew up in as a strong factor in helping to mold me to be, hopefully, what God wants me to be in being hospitable to other people. We live in a different age, and I'm fully aware of that. And so hospitality may be shared in a number of different ways. And I know that a lot of times preachers, when they are out preaching for the churches, prefer to be in a motel. And I understand that. However, let me put in a good word for the times that you're not in a motel. I recently was in Kentucky for a weekend, a long weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I was entertained in the home of a man. And he was a very gracious host. While I was there, he had a friend that he became acquainted with that had attended Cincinnati Bible Seminary who was from Haiti. And he was coming back to the States from Haiti to attend the missionary convention in Columbus, Ohio, that several of the church people here attended. That man was in the home. By being in his home, I got better acquainted with this man that was my host, and he was very gracious to me, very generous to me, and I got better acquainted with this fellow that I'd never seen before in my life from Haiti. And we talked about people that we knew in common, and I learned how he became a Christian and what his background had been, and I was blessed. And I hope that I was able to leave a blessing with them. Furthermore, by being entertained in homes for meals, I was taken to a home to eat one day, and the man really has some serious health problems. And I was shocked to learn that he never has a moment's ease. He lives constantly in physical pain. But he also has difficulty understanding some of the basic scriptures. So we went there for dinner, and we finally left that home about 5 o'clock that evening, just in time to go back and eat supper someplace else and go to church that night. That afternoon proved to be a tremendous experience. We exchanged comments with regard to the scriptures. He asked some challenging questions, and he was feeling so badly that on the Lord's Day, he did not show up for church. But he sent a note with his wife to give to me. And he said, would you please explain these scriptures to me? Well, it took me about 3 hours when I got back home to get on my computer and type up a letter in response to every one of these questions, every one of these verses. And when I looked at every one of the verses, I knew exactly where he's coming from as a result of that conversation. And so I sent that to him. Now, the fellow that was with me, who was a host in the home where I was staying, was there, and he said, by the way, when you send answers to his questions, send them to me also. I said, okay, I'll do that. So I made an extra copy and sent them to him. Now, folks, that would never have happened had there not been hospitality involved. Hospitality on the part of a couple that invited us there to eat. Hospitality on a man who invited me and also welcomed a person from Haiti to be overnight guests in his home. That's kind of rare anymore. And I think it's nice when it can happen, but I understand the difference. And let me make sure you understand that I understand that. I've had some very interesting experience by being in people's homes. And hospitality is not always the hospitality you hoped it would be. The last time, I shouldn't say the last time, because the last time was in Kentucky, but a time not too long ago, up in a northern state, I was a guest in a home where I shared a room with a python snake. I would have given anything to have been in a motel. Never in my life have I had to share a room with a python. I just hoped that that cage really worked well. And I knew that I had to trust in the Lord. I made it through. But I found it my being more sympathetic toward those who say, yeah, I'll come if you put me in a motel. So I was a guest in a home in Little Rock, Arkansas. And I shared the room with a dog. The dog was not trained very well. So when I got out of the bed, I had to be careful where I walked, or else I would have to take another shower. And taking a shower and going to the bathroom at home was not an easy thing to do, because there was no door in the bathroom. And the bathroom's off the main hall that goes from one end of the house to the other. I've never been in a home like that. And I just thought, how can I go in the bathroom and hope that nobody's going to be walking down the hall? So I would carefully watch people and hope that they were engrossed in what they're doing long enough that I can make my visit and get out of there. I don't enjoy that. One more story, hospitality. This is an older couple, wonderful Christian family. They invited me to their home for Sunday dinner. And so I went, and I looked at the table. They had place for 4 settings. And I thought, I wonder who else is coming. Because I knew there was a man and his wife and myself who's going to be the 4th person there. And when I was finally called to the table and the table was spread to eat, I learned the 4th person was not a person, it was a dog. And the dog sat in the chair, and I tell you the truth, they put the food on the plate, and the dog lapped his food up from the plate while the rest of us used silverware to get our food. But I've never eaten with a dog before. So, you know, I understand that we ought to be grateful for modern hospitality in some place other than the home. But I still appreciate that hospitality needs to be shown in one way or another. So is hospitality an important part of our Christian witness? Absolutely, it certainly is. Verse 6, please.
When they have testified to your love before the church, you will do well to send them on their way in a manner worthy of God.
All right, who are they?
The brothers that came and talked to John?
Yeah, probably, and they're the ones that enjoyed the hospitality of Gaius. So they're sharing this with John, and John's saying that you do well to send these people that have been in your home away in an honorable Christian way. Was Gaius expressing Christian love by being hospitable to visiting Christian messengers?
Yes.
Yes, he was. Was it easy for Gaius to be hospitable?
Sounded like it.
Yeah, it does until you get to the rest of the letter.
Oh.
There's another fellow in the church that does not like for anybody in the church to be hospitable. He's not hospitable, and he doesn't want anybody else to be. And Gaius knew that he was doing exactly the opposite of what one of the other men in the church, who had a pretty strong voice, was suggesting. We have no responsibility to open our homes to anybody. We'll talk about that in a moment. Number 4, was the witness of Gaius shared with other Christians by those who had been blessed by his hospitality?
Sounds like it.
Sure, that's the way John hears about it. By the way, this is the only time the word church is used in this letter, but he does speak about this. They have testified to your love before the church. You would do well to send them on their way in a worthy manner of God. What benefit might result by testifying to the church of Gaius' love? Might he encourage other people? Might other people be encouraged by the fact that this man opened his home and what a blessing resulted from it? I'll tell you, there's just something nice about sharing with other people. And though you may be on the giving end, oftentimes you're on the receiving end also in a much more meaningful way than just physical providing food or shelter. Is Gaius being encouraged by John to continue to be hospitable?
Yes.
Yes, he is. Now, what does it mean to send them on their way in a manner worthy of God? I think in this case it means while you're here, can we wash your clothes for you so that you can leave with clean clothes? Remember, they didn't have automatic washing machines and laundromats that you could go to. They really depended upon the hospitality. And can we fix a sack lunch for you to take along your way? And can we maybe give you a little bit of money? We don't have much, but can we give you a little bit of money in case you have to purchase something along the way so that you can have a safe trip back? I know that in my experience in the ministry, when we had missionaries visiting our congregation and we gave them an opportunity to share their witness with our congregation, we'd always put an offering plate in the back of the auditorium and say to the people, this man is not one of the missionaries we ordinarily support, but he's a man of God, and he's supported by Christian churches. And if any of you would like to share and encourage him to meet his expenses on the mission field, that plate is there for you to do so. We always did that at the end of the service, didn't pass the plate.